Tai Po blaze death toll now at 146. Thousands queue up to mourn the fire victims. And foreign domestic helpers hold vigilance central to remember those who died in the fire. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekolea. The number 5 fire alarm fire at Wang Fuk Court has claimed at least 146 lives and injured 79 as of this afternoon. Authorities have yet to reach around 40 individuals affected by the blaze and didn't rule out the possibility of more casualties. Timothy Lee tells us more.
White-clad personnel from the Disaster Victims Identification Unit continue rescue efforts after the catastrophic fire that ripped through Tai Po's Wang Fuk Court earlier this week. The team earlier entered parts of the housing complex, including Wangxing House, Wangken House, as well as the more heavily affected Wangtai House.
There are only 3 more buildings to be searched, to be completed. But those remaining are the difficult ones. So I have to be very prudent, and I will not shorten our estimated time for the time being. It is still 3 to 4 weeks.
The police said they discovered 30 bodies over the course of their search, including 12 that were previously found by fire services personnel. But the recovery of the latter was delayed, owing to the prioritization of rescuing those still alive.
唔係好適合咧喺呢度咧講相關於遺體嘅狀態。
Chen Ka-chen, the chief of the Disaster Victims Identification Unit, said the time is not appropriate to reveal the conditions of the remains, but emphasized bodies were found throughout the buildings, including stairways and corridors. The police further noted they are speeding up efforts to identify the victims to alleviate the burden on affected families. To facilitate local residents, a secondary school near the scene of the fire was used as a temporary meeting point. This as Police Commissioner Joe Chow arrived during the afternoon to check on the situation on site. Photos posted online showed the state of damage inside several apartments at Wang Fuk Court, with the police stressing that the difficulty of their search was compounded by the lack of electricity inside the buildings. Authorities added that among those that were initially reported to be missing, 159 were confirmed to be safe, 92 were confirmed deceased, and 37 suffered injuries. Another 54 bodies remain unidentified. Some 100 cases were classified as untraceable. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
A river of grief flows through the streets of Tai Po as countless residents continue their pilgrimage to the scene of the horrific Grade 5 fire at Wang Fuk Court. The line of mourners stretches nearly 2 kilometers, a silent testament to a community united in sorrow, winding from South Wan Road all the way to Tai Po Mega Mall. Celine Chan tells us more.
The park facing Wang Fuk Court has become an ocean of remembrance, a silent, blooming tribute to lives tragically lost. Countless mourners move slowly through the space, their arms filled with flowers. They bow deeply, their hearts heavy with grief for neighbors, friends, and strangers taken too soon. By midday, the stream of mourners has swelled into a river of shared sorrow. The line of quiet grief stretches nearly 2 kilometers, a solemn procession stretching all the way to Taiwan Bridge near the MTR station. Along Nam Wan Road, the silent crowd follows the gentle flow of Tai Po River. The wait stretches over an hour, yet the crowd remains patient in their shared mourning. Faces ashed with pain, eyes red-rimmed, each person carrying memories of what once was. Amid solemn silence, the Hong Kong Jockey Club's directors, executives, staff, trainers, and jockeys observed a minute's silence at Sha Tin Racecourse at noon today, paying tribute to those who tragically lost their lives in the Wang Fuk Court fire in Tai Po. In a gesture of profound respect, all 10 races at Sha Tin Racecourse were held behind closed doors, with all proceeds from the day's events to be donated in full to support the affected families. Authorities have established memorial sites across all 18 districts. At the Wang Tai Sin Community Center, residents arrived to inscribe condolences in the memorial box before approaching the altar to pay their respects, wiping away tears of grief. Some carried white flowers in solemn tribute to the victims, while others bowed deeply before the memorial. At Sha Tin Fire Station, where fallen hero Ho Wai-ho served, the floral tributes continue to multiply. Retired firefighter Mr. Chu deemed Ho the pride of the Fire Services Department and Hong Kong. He said Hong Kongers weep with the families left behind and hope the city can heal together.
I wish he knows the whole story, and then he could learn a lesson from the fireman who sacrificed himself and then who sacrificed his life to save our people. Yet to know that there could be someone who's so brave enough to do these things. We wish them could stay strong at this difficult moment. It's really not easy for them. And we feel really sorry, deeply sorry for what happened to their family.
5 associations of the Fire Services Department have launched a donation drive for the fallen firefighters' family. All donations will be handed directly to his father. Celine Chan, TVB News.
Multiple organizations are providing relief funds to residents affected by the Tai Po fire to address their urgent needs. KMB and Longwind Bus earlier announced a donation of $2 million to help the fire victims. A large number of residents lined up at the Quang Phuc Estate bus stop to register their details and apply for the KMB Relief Fund. Each household can receive $1,000. At the Hong Chi Jockey Club Quang Phuc Sheltered Workshop, 3 charities were on site to register residents and distribute aid. Police stated on social media that they have found suspected scammers posing as volunteers and using fake registration forms to steal personal information and even bank codes from victims. They urge the public to remain alert. Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong said more than 1,500 affected residents of the Tai Po fire have been rehoused in temporary residences. These victims are permitted to stay in these shelters in the long term. Meanwhile, authorities are speeding up efforts to return residents of the unaffected Wang Chi house to their homes. Timothy Lee reports.
7 burning towers once home to scores of residents of the Tai Po community, many of them now stranded and without shelter. In a bid to assist the victims, Deputy Financial Secretary Michael Wong said the government has arranged temporary residences for more than 1,500 affected individuals as of now. Some 40 people remain in the government's temporary shelters, while authorities are trying to speed up the process, allowing residents of the unaffected Wang Chi house to return to their homes. Speaking on the matter, the Deputy Financial Secretary said authorities are currently assessing the safety of electricity and water usage in the building. On the provision of transitional housing, Wong noted the units could be used to house affected residents for a relatively long period of time, stressing that they could stay until the reconstruction of the damaged estate. The government also amended regulations on transitional housing allowing the entry of pets. This is Wong emphasized such residents will not be charged for any of the temporary housing. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The tragic fire at Wang Feng Court in Tai Po has claimed the lives of at least 8 foreign domestic workers. Hundreds of compatriots gathered in Central to pay tribute to the victims. Samantha Lee spoke to them.
Central was filled with sorrow this Sunday. Led by a priest, crowds of foreign domestic workers on Chater Road sang and prayed in sympathy with the victims and survivors of the devastating fire in Tai Po. Some shook in tears, some laid down chrysanthemums.
We also have co-workers died in that kind of incident. We offered some prayers for them, and hopefully there's no any workers or local Hong Kong have still increasing victim.
As of yesterday, it is confirmed that 1 Filipino and 7 Indonesian domestic workers lost their lives in the fire, with 57 unaccounted for. A lawyer said that many affected workers may require more time to recover and look for new employers.
While they're dealing with this, they're also facing the uncertainty of whether the employment will continue. And I have no doubt that this uncertainty will be on both sides, from the employers, whether they're able to continue to afford this.
In response, the Labour Department said workers can apply for a change of employer in Hong Kong without having to return to their home countries under special circumstances, such as the death or financial hardship of the employer. Meanwhile, at Kwong Fook Estate in Tai Po, fellow workers continue to pour in supplies.
The mission for migrant workers said they have yet to decide whether to set a booth here in the future. But if any foreign domestic helpers need assistance, they are happy to send supplies to their current locations. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Still ahead, Venezuelan armed forces preparing for possible U.S. offensive. Reports say Hong Kong LegCo elections may go ahead on December 7th. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump says the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela should be considered closed in its entirety, giving no further details. This has stirred anxiety and confusion in Caracas as the Trump administration ramps up pressure on President Nicolas Maduro's government, while the tension between the two countries heightens. Tracy Furness has more.
Fighter planes take off in Maracay, Venezuela, performing defensive maneuvers as a crowd looks on. Venezuela's military aviation held a public exhibition this weekend with fighter jets and paratroopers performing live demonstrations. The paratroopers enter the Hercules aircraft. Minutes later, they're seen parachuting from the plane. The event was aimed to showcase Venezuela's air capabilities during a moment of heightened tension with the United States. 61-year-old Alfredo Escobar said that he felt more secure and a little more confident in those who represent us, adding, "We have people who defend us and we have well-trained staff." Trump's announcement to close the airspace over Venezuela came after warnings from the US Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, that major airlines faced potentially hazardous situations when flying over Venezuela due to heightened military activity in and around the country. After the FAA warning, Venezuela revoked operating rights for 6 major international airlines that had suspended flights. At Venezuela's main airport that serves the capital, the airlines that didn't halt operations remained working Saturday. Venezuela's government said it forcefully rejects Trump's claims about closing the airspace and that it was a colonial threat intended to undermine the country's territorial integrity, aeronautical security and full sovereignty. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
4 people were killed and 10 wounded in a shooting during a family gathering at a banquet hall in Stockton, California on Saturday. The sheriff's office said the victims included children, adding that it may have been a targeted incident. The shooting occurred just before 6 p.m. inside the banquet hall, which shares a parking lot with other businesses. The suspected shooter hasn't been caught. Officials are appealing to the public for help. Detectives are still working on the motive for the shooting. Stockton is about 64 kilometers south of the state capital, Sacramento. The Defense Ministry of Japan has announced extra supplementary budget to enhance military capabilities by procuring surface-to-air missiles. Meanwhile, Chinese ambassador to Japan, Wu Jianhao, requested the Japanese leader to immediately retract her wrongful remarks regarding Taiwan and said Japan must live up to its political commitments. Danny Cho has the story.
Tokyo has green-lighted a supplementary budget proposal that will cover various items of huge economic package approved a week ago. According to Kyoto News, the breakdown of the budget includes 1.1 trillion yen in additional defense spending that exceeds 2% of Japan's GDP. The Defense Ministry says it is working to procure the improved Type 03 medium-range surface-to-air guided missile capable of intercepting aircrafts and cruise missiles. Efforts will be made to station the Self-Defense Forces mobile surveillance radar troop on the southwest Kitadaidojima Island in Okinawa Prefecture for facility construction. Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's early remarks linking their possible military interference with the Taiwan contingency triggered a diplomatic spat with Beijing that impacted other sectors. It is reported that Chinese airliners have so far cut more than 900 flights between the two countries in December. In an article published on People's Daily on Sunday, Ambassador Wu Jianghao said a serving Japanese leader has made blatant, provocative comments on the Taiwan question, beating the drums of war. Wu said Taiwan has been an inseparable part of China's territory, and the sound development of China-Japan ties can only be built on the solid political foundation. The PLA Daily also posted an article criticizing Japan's attempt to gloss over the issue. The newspaper affiliated with the Chinese People's Liberation Army said, in the face of factual truth and international justice, the government of Japan tried to downplay Takaichi's remarks with an ambiguous and invasive response. The article warned if Tokyo dared to militarily step in the situation in the strait, it would constitute an aggression. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Back locally, in response to the Wangfuk court blaze, the government is temporarily suspending publicity and promotion for the Legislative Council election. It's understood that voting will still take place as scheduled next Sunday, December 7th. It's understood that candidates have already received word that the election will proceed as scheduled on Sunday, and campaigning can resume as soon as mid to late next week. The previous LegCo election was postponed by 1 year owing to the COVID pandemic, with the chief executive invoking the Emergency Regulations Ordinance. But Executive Councillor Ronnie Tong believes this approach won't apply to the forthcoming election. Donations and aid from mainland organizations and enterprises continue to pour into Tai Po to help Wangfuk Court residents rebuild their homes. The China Charity Federation, headquartered in Beijing, has collected funds and supplies of nearly 700 million RMB. China Resources Company subsidiaries reportedly donated mats, water, and food. China Travel Service prepared hotel rooms and apartments to accommodate affected residents. To provide better support for communication, China Mobile set up a special 24-hour hotline after donating 100 million Hong Kong dollars. Online payment platforms WeChat and Alipay have also listed donation options through the WeChat Pay Hong Kong and Alipay Hong Kong apps, respectively. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, Hong Kong.